Hello and welcome to episode 13 of Salop Cast. I think it's fair to say this might be the darkest podcast we've had to do since the sad passing of Glyn. And it almost seems apt that it's me and a member of the Price family here talking about Shrewsbury Town this evening. How you doing, Mike? I know you've had a day with the kids like I have. Hopefully that was a lot more fun than yesterday.
As I say, today's been fine. It's yesterday and the other Saturdays and Tuesdays we've got to talk about that have been the problem. Yeah, how am I doing? Not great. Resigned to relegation, pretty deflated about the whole situation. So yeah, it wasn't one we wanted to really get on with this, was it? It's been a while since we've done a podcast and just lots of crap to cover, really.
Yeah, we've never got to the point where we've stored up 8 games. And I think I don't think that's that surprising, is it? And we haven't really had that many fans saying, have you doing a podcast often? A few weeks go by and people say to us, "Oh, you're doing a podcast?" And yeah, we haven't even had that, to be honest. We've got 8 games to cover.
Yeah, like the new format, me, you, and Dan and Chris, and trying to take a block of games. The attempt of that is to try not to repeat ourselves. But with what's been going on recently, how do you not repeat yourself every week or every fortnight? Yeah, so not surprising we built up a bit of a backlog, I think.
Yeah, what we're going to try and do this evening is we're going to cover the games a little bit because obviously we need to do that. But then we're going to talk about a lot of themes, which will be good to get into. So yeah, some off the field stuff as well. I will have to say at the start, apologies to your mother, Mike. I think there might be some swearing in this podcast.
Yeah, too much for her liking, I think. Yeah.
So yeah, 8 games, 2 points, 1 goal, and no goal from open play. We haven't scored an open goal in 6 games. Which is pretty horrific. The kind of the pros and cons of doing a video, Mike. You were recognised in a probably not the ideal location.
Yeah, I was having a wee in the Prince of Wales, and somebody came up and said, "Do you do the podcast?" And it was the first time anybody's recognised me from these videos we're doing. I did sort of say, "Oh, you're the person watching the videos, are you?" Because I don't suppose we're getting loads of viewers. There's a guy called Mike, a thoroughly nice chap, who seemed to agree with most of the stuff we're spouting. So I said I'd give him a shout out. So yeah, hello Mike, thanks hope you're watching again. Yeah, nice to meet you. It was nice.
Cool. Yeah, brilliant. So yeah, I think let's jump into it.
Okay, so yeah, the sort of let's do a quick recap of those last 8 games that we went through. I think if we look way back 8 games ago, we start with Reading away, which we drew 1-1. I think this was still back when we had a bit of a belief that we could stay up. There was still a little bit of a good feeling around the club. Gareth Ainsworth,
the spreadsheet was live and active.
The spreadsheet was still alive. It hadn't been burnt on a bonfire and chucked in a canal like Dan said he was going to do the other day. So yeah, I mean, it seems mad to think, only 8 games ago, it's only a handful of weeks that we were in a much more positive mindset. And the performance at Reading away was decent. I thought we were positive. I thought we took the game to a team who are doing okay this season. Away from home, scored a decent goal. The one we conceded probably could have done more about, and we were good for the point, if not capable of nicking the 3. And I think that was felt as a bit of a platform to go into the following 3 home games in a row, which would basically make or break, weren't they? And I think we were going in with an element of positivity, an element of belief way back then, which sadly, I think you'll cover this in a minute, 3 home games in a row, 3 home losses in a row, turned out to be basically the thing that killed the season, I think, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I think there's a specific moment. Like you could argue that the summer was when we kind of created the foundations for relegation with the poor recruitment that we did. But those 3 home games were incredibly deflating. Not only the performances, obviously the results were key. Obviously we did score against Bolton, but then we didn't score against Huddersfield or Stevenage. I thought the Stevenage game was terrible, absolutely terrible. And for me, that was a real game where we really saw the nerves come out from the players. And then I think the moment that killed it, like if you're going to put a moment on it where I thought 100% that's it, Mark Rees.
Yeah.
Like you got to say fucking card. Idiot.
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
Idiot. Like first time you saw it, like it was so clear as day what he did.
Yeah.
In a massive, massive game against a team that was in the relegation, the team that we wanted to suck into the relegation fight. He goes and elbows someone.
It was desperate. It was such an odd decision to do. Bleed with your elbow, first minute of the game. I suppose as a pro, you probably think, first thing in the game, ref's not going to send me off. I can get away with one here, might get a book in, might get a talking to, but it sets the tone. I'm leading from the front. I'm putting my elbows in. I'm making it difficult for them. I'm going to make them know they're in for a battle today. But also, you can't elbow somebody in the head. It's purely against the rules, and it's absolutely a red card. And it's
and how close was
those
the ref?
sort of things. Yeah, he was right there, wasn't he? Because it was from the kickoff, so he hadn't moved out the centre circle. He was right there, looking straight at it. He didn't really have anything else to look at. The game was so in its infancy that the only thing he was looking at was the ball. Yeah, exactly. The ref's not looking at anything else, so it's pretty naive. And right at the start, again, another string of games against relegation rivals, he's took himself out of it. Our main goal threat, our captain, our sort of pace setter, our scene setter, isn't smart enough to not do something so idiotic. And it killed that game plus the following 3 games, I think, because we haven't got that focal point. George Lloyd can't do it. Verdane Oliver's been bit part, hasn't he? So losing Marquise it's been a hammer blow as well. I think it's the last thing.
I don't think it's fair to say. I don't think we'll go as far to say that he got us relegated.
No.
The whole team have got us relegated, and the whole club has got us relegated from the outset. But
I think we'd have had a better chance if he was still getting. In
yeah,
the team,
we'd have a
that's
better
the point,
chance.
Yeah,
and then obviously we went Bristol Rovers at home. That was embarrassing. Really, really poor performance. Like the lack of quality on show was poor, and I didn't think it could get much worse, but it did.
Yeah, Exeter away was poor, but that Burton game yesterday, I think it was the worst game of football I've ever seen in my life. They were 2 awful teams, and even with that, Burton created. Well, they scored 2 goals and they created another 3 basic sitters that they missed. It could have been 5-0 easily yesterday.
Yeah,
and
I was going to say that.
Complain about it.
No, they missed 2 absolute gilt chances in our 6-yard box, basically on the line or if not closer. And their XG was 2.5. Like that's a really strong number. We had 15 shots, but like you just never really saw us scoring. And Tolly, I think, has been a great addition to BBC Shropshire.
He's fantastic. I got to say, whenever I hear him, he's brilliant.
Yeah, it's been really good. Like he brings a really nice kind of like authentic element to the show, I think. And I think him and Nick will work well in partnership. I think it's also good to see BBC Shropshire have been, calling it out.
Totally. He tells it how it is.
It's really good.
In the past, Radio Shropshire have been a bit quick to sort of sugar the pill a little bit and keep the club on side. But I think Tolly's he's pretty happy just to sort of call it how it is.
And he does. And Nick isn't afraid to read anything out. He reads everything out. He brings it out. So, I would definitely encourage people to. I say BBC Shropshire really has improved over the last few years, which is great. I stopped listening to it for years, but now I listen to it every single time. I think those guys are doing a good job. And Tolly was saying that, like, where was the fight? Like, when they were Oleing, taking the piss. And why not, eh? Why didn't you put a tackle in? But, like, just... there's no spine to this team. There's no leaders.
I think that's the big problem. And I think if you go all the way back to Reading and you come out of that with a decent point and your tails are up, and then we went 1-0 up against Bolton as well, didn't we? The following game, the one we lost 3-2, we went 1-0 up, and you think, right, platform to build on. They just don't seem to have the fight in them. And the concerning thing is, not just for this season, not just for the remainder of the season, but also next season, is Gareth Ainsworth came in and his whole thing was like, my teams that I put out there, they leave everything on the pitch. They fight, they battle, they scrap. We'll be a team you can be proud of. Even if we're not winning games, be proud of the performance, be proud of the effort. I'm not seeing it. Post Reading, I haven't seen it. The goals we're conceding are incredibly sloppy. They're incredibly weak. They're simple passes, simple finishes. They're people not picking up runners, or they're shots from the edge of the box that we're just not closing. We're not getting,
or even worse,
faces. We're not the energy.
Set
pieces as well. Yeah, amazing. And then at the other end of the pitch, we're lackluster. We're out of ideas. We're playing long ball football. We're not, like, people aren't running the energy to run into channels. We're not running into channels. We're not creating width. We're not playing the ball over the top. The only thing we've got really is to try and hit George Lloyd long against 6'4" defenders. It's been really painful to watch, and the players take a lot of responsibility for it. I'm sure Ainsworth's setting them up with tactics and giving them motivational speeches and stuff, but they either can't or they won't, and both of those isn't acceptable in a relegation scrap. And it leads us where we are now, which is just cut adrift. It's all but a certainty we're going to go down. I mean, Gareth Ainsworth, bless him with his positivity, is very enthusiastic about keeping people on side and in the fight and back us to the end and all this shit. But let's be honest, we're down. Like, we're totally down. We're cut adrift. It's
been
woeful. Yeah.
I was really disappointed with the manager post Peterborough. Our captain went out there and ruined the game plan for us, ruined the game, and he didn't really say anything.
Yeah.
And for me, that I understand that, players are very delicate these days. Like almost, the Tolly days, you could probably tell he'd probably say a bit more in the media, but no, they apparently, well, you need to be a little bit more protective, apparently. But he should have come out and called him out. Like he also, what game a few weeks before, he messed at the penalties as well. He took that and missed another one. So yeah, I'm not happy with Marcus. And I was getting a little bit tired of the positivity post match.
Yeah.
I understand kind of like the positivity. The positivity really helped and did drive some great results. And he's done better than Paul Hurst. So points per game, Paul Hurst had 0.57 points per game. Let's call it 0.6 points per game, which is horrific. Yeah. And then Gareth Ainsworth has had just less than 1 point a game, 0.9. But a point per game is bad, and he's been getting worse than that. And it has been wearing thin a little bit, I think, hearing the positivity. And also the promise, because he made a promise after Exeter.
Well, this is the thing I was going to say. You were frustrated about his post-match, and he's always been positive. He's always been encouraging the team. He's always been backing the lads, and I'm proud of this group of lads, and they're good enough to stay up. They just need to get the result. And then after Exeter, he came out and he said, oh, that wasn't good enough. I've put some home truths out there in that dressing room. I've told them, what's not acceptable. I've called them out, and they know that isn't acceptable. And next game, you won't see that again. That won't happen. They won't put that sort of performance in. Arguably, against Burton, they came out and they were worse. So, what the hell?
Well, interestingly, it almost gives evidence and kind of strength to the argument that Ainsworth was the right thing on not calling them out, because as soon as he called them out, they wilted. Because Burton was pathetic performance. And we don't normally call players out on this podcast because it's not really very nice, but we have been joking a bit about a certain player in our WhatsApp groups. Yeah, the ghost of Shipley. He was absolutely abysmal on Saturday. Like he used to be and I genuinely before we're going to roast him, like genuinely worry about the bloke. Like, is he all right? Because he used to be a really good League One player, like above average League One player. When he had his mates playing around him, he was a fantastic delivery of a ball. I mean, he was dynamic. He played wing back. He was up and down. He was really good. Like on Saturday, there was two moments. One when we had a recycle of a ball from a corner. He tried to control it, and it went out of play for a goal kick. And there was another time when just in front of us in block 17, something similar happened where he didn't control the ball and it went out. And he was really poor. And we had a spy behind the dugout on Saturday. And then we were told that he was fuming. He was taken off. Like apparently all three of them were fuming and taken off, which for me, like lack of
awareness.
Awareness. That's the word. Yeah. That they don't understand even what a good performance looks like. He was absolutely shit. Like all three of them were.
In a cast of 11, he was one of 11 ship players. It's not all him, but you say the drop off in Shipley's been alarming. He was frustrated at times, but he was capable of affecting a game. He was capable of being a big player for us in his early season and a half. And something's happened with him. I think he's kind of sick of playing for Shrewsbury Town. I think he wants a new start or whatever, but he's not going to go anywhere up from us. His trajectory is down in the leagues. His ability, his desire. His fitness doesn't look fit, to be honest with you. Like the whole Jordan Shipley thing, I'm done with it. And he's clearly off at the end of the season. So why are we giving him game time? We're so doomed now. Play the guys that are in contract next season. Don't bother with the ones that aren't going to be here. There is absolutely no point. Play Stewart, play Denanga. We'll probably still lose the games anyway, but at least he can get minutes.
You might as well give him a chance.
You know what I mean? He may as well not be there.
Unless he thinks that playing them now is going to damage them, which then obviously carry on playing your Shipleys, whatever. It is. And I think the annoying thing about Shipley, and I've kind of the reason maybe why we haven't mentioned it before, is he also had the audacity to give it back to us. I remember Burton away last year.
This is the thing. It's that he'll do nothing for like 80 minutes, and then he'll win a corner by tackling somebody in the corner, and he'll go to the corner. He'll turn to the crowd and he'll be like, "Come on, get behind us!" And it's like, well, you've given us nothing to get behind. You've done nothing. You can't then sort of demand from the fans that we should be getting behind you. When, to be fair, the fans have fucking stuck with it. Let's be honest. They've not turned on them really. We've not done until Saturday really. So his whole vibe, but he just sums up what's wrong with the club at the moment. I think this sort of collection of journeyman dis-arse players. None of them want to play for the town. None of them really care. None of them are good enough anyway. We are the only people who are going to give most of them a contract in League One. They know it. They're running them down, and they're off somewhere else in the summer. You know, there'll be no love lost between them and us. I don't think they're going to particularly remember their time at Shrewsbury Town very fondly, and I don't think we will either. It's just one of those things. But yeah, he's symptomatic. He's certainly not the cause. It's certainly not his fault. You know, he's as frustrated as he is. There's many reasons that Shrewsbury Town are getting relegated, and it isn't Jordan Shipley. But he was a real standout poor performance on Saturday, wasn't he?
And I think the number of players that you'd say probably you would like to see again, and obviously we've got loads of time later on the season, so let's not overdo it. But like players that I think have performed quite well this season, I'd say is Pierre has been consistently pretty all right.
Pretty all right
compared out the whole squad. I'm slim pickings. Lloyd, Gilliard, I think has been and I think the trouble is that you can't ask players to be something they're not. So you know, quality wise and like in terms of like ability, but also behaviour and like kind of like leaders. And that's the trouble. You don't have any leaders, but yeah, there's a lot of players contracted to us next season. There's 12. Yeah, so everyone's kind of looking forward to. Go ahead.
There's 2 players in that squad I want to see next season. If we have a choice, I'd keep George Nurse because he's good. He's injury prone.
He used to be good. It'd be interesting to see what he could do if he gets a good preseason.
When he played the other day, he was playing left centre half. He played really well. I think he's man of the match. Yeah. Some of his distribution, some of his tackling, like he looks like he can still do it if he gets back up to match fitness. I'm all right with Nurse. I think he's fine. I don't think he's been anything to do with this season. And Callum Stewart, probably give him a go because he looks keen and he runs around. He looks more threatening than George Lloyd. Like George Lloyd runs around, but he doesn't ever really threaten. But Callum Stewart at least looks like he's getting in areas that he could score a goal from. Blackman, probably keep him on. He's been all right since he came in. Other than that, can a lot of them. Not interested.
Yeah, and we've got players. 12 players. We've got 12 players on next season. But before we got
on that point, I was going to say you shared a graphic, didn't you, about who's on contract next season?
Yeah.
So we were talking about this yesterday, I think, and it's like the problem with this team. The main
Let's pull it up now. I'll pull it up.
Yeah, if you got it there, I think we'll probably get into this a bit early. But the problem with this team is it doesn't score goals. It is terrible at creating chances, terrible at taking chances. So what you'd hope to do in the summer, new owner, no new owner, whatever, you'd want to really improve that attacking unit. But you generally carry 4 strikers in a squad, don't you? But we currently have 4 strikers on contrary. You've got Lloyd Marquise, Matter and Stewart. Now, yeah, probably Max Matter might go. But the other 3, I think the intention is that they're here next season. So you've got sort of one spot to bring another striker in, but the 3 that are there don't score goals. In the attacking areas, you've got Dinanga and Idowu on contract. Nobody's going to take them off us. They might have to play. Yeah. They're not good enough. And so our attacking unit's quite well stocked already with people who already aren't doing it. And to either pay off contracts or find people to buy these people, it's going to cost money that we haven't got now. So again, if this takeover doesn't happen, we're really struggling to put a squad together next season, I think, already.
Yeah, and I think it's
sort of gummed up with a lot of shit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's you've got several players on there we would have to get rid of, and I imagine the manager would want to get rid of him if we can keep him as well. But let's just go back to the end of the game at the Meadow. So for those who weren't there, let's say fair to say that when it went 2-0, the atmosphere turned.
Yeah,
people in block 17 were shouting like "F off, Mickey Moore, 400 quid next season. You're having a joke." And the crowd started chanting like "Mickey Moore, get out of our club," and there was also chants to get rid of Roland Wycherley as well. And then at the end of the game, quite a few people were reporting that the fans were shouting abuse at the chairman, and he decided to clap back and do sarcastic gestures back to the fans. And I don't know, I didn't say this lightly, but the kind of the messaging out of the club over the last few weeks hasn't really been in tune with the fan base, I'd say. There's 2 things. So there was one, Dooley, and I do feel sorry for Liam because he's inherited a shit show. As you found out, Mike, I was chatting to some people at the ground and they didn't believe the Umbro story I put out on Saturday. It was actually from yourself, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think probably before we move on to that, going back to the end of the game on Saturday.
Yeah.
the chance directed at Mickey Moore. I get that people are a bit frustrated with Mickey Moore. I've sort of said, we had a bit of a go at him last time on the pod about what he's been up to. But Mickey Moore is not the reason we're getting relegated this season.
No.
Mickey Moore works for the guy at the top. Like this relegation, when it happens, not if it happens, is on Roland Wycherley. And it feels like it's been 12, 15 years in the making. It feels like that since we moved from the old ground, we have wasted a golden sort of generational opportunity to transform the club. We went from sleepy backwater Shrewsbury Town with an old antiquated ground that you couldn't do anything. There was no commercial revenue, all this sort of stuff we were told about the ground move. We moved to the new ground, made a huge amount of money on selling that stadium, had a big bank account because of all the money we'd made on selling that prime real estate that's behind me on the picture. Moved to this new out of town, and it was okay. The point coming here, increase match day revenue, help the club grow, improve resources, improve investment, be able to be more competitive in the leagues, move up the structures, blah, 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 blah. In the time that we've been at that football club, none of that's really happened. The money that we made from the sale has dwindled down, and it's been bolstered by the odd player sale here or a sale of a bit of land to Lidl. That's sort of ticked down now to the point where we've got no money left. No additional external revenues come in. No big investors have been welcomed to the board. None of the local business owners who are interested in supporting Shrewsbury Town have come in and funded the club.
Or not welcome.
Yeah, non-match day revenue. Where's that coming from? I can't. There doesn't seem to be a really busy, bustling commercial arm at the club. Smithies is shut. Match day revenue, forget about it. We just got invited in the Rowley Lounge because people need somewhere to go. Those sort of things smack. You look around the stadium, the advertising boards, they've not been updated for years. There's advertising boards up there for companies that don't exist anymore. And I know people who have companies who are trying to buy boards and they can't get through. Nobody's answering the phone. The ticket thing, trying to get people to renew season tickets for more. The commercial acumen at the club in the last decade has been non-existent. There's only one person responsible for that. This is the same person who said when Steve Cox was in charge, he just didn't look at the money and just let them spend what they want. And this is what happens. Football is about money. Football, you've got to be able to compete financially, compete on the pitch. We haven't done that. This relegation is a net result of all of that coming down the line. So you can chant at Mickey Moore all you like. But
yeah, he's not for me. He's not
really his
guy.
fault. He's working in the structure that exists. Yeah.
And Mickey Moore's made mistakes. He's made loads of mistakes. The manager, he's making his best mate, the assistant, Max Matter. He's wasted money, signed bad players. But you're right. The budget is smaller because of the mismanagement by Roland and Steve Cottrell. We're now in the situation where we've had to kind of reel back all that. And then we get a delivery of Umbro kit on Saturday because we haven't had the cash flow. It's from a me and you both work in procurement. It does seem a little bit convenient, doesn't it? It seems like a bit of a cash flow thing. We've actually received that kit, which I think you said is nearly 2 years old. The week after season ticket sales go on.
Yeah, I was in the club shop and I went in because my daughter's going to be it's like being a mascot at a funeral. She's going to be mascot against Cambridge. It's going to be the most depressing experience ever, I think. So we went in to go and get a kit sorted because as part of the package you get a kit. So we went in, got it sized, and then one thing I'll say, the Oxen gear is still really good. We've got one of those hoodies, the sort of the green third kit one to wear on the day as well. I would say the fans. There's a great sale on in the club shop at the moment. I did this last time I went in there, but they're really good kit at quite good value, and there's lots of it. So there'll probably be. I would guess there's probably going to be more deductions on it because Oxen have got a lot of gear to shift this season. Anyway, so I was in there and I was talking to the people in the shop and I was saying, got a lot of stuff in here. What's going to happen is they're going to be a sale at the open day next year. And she said, well, Oxen own the kit, so they'll probably start doing it earlier. They're already doing it now. And I had to look behind the desk and there was a box of Umbro gear, and not last season's Umbro gear from the season before. And I said, oh, Christ, you still got some of that knocking about. What are you doing? Just trying to find somewhere to put that up for a £5. She said, oh, yeah, we will sell it for a £5, but this arrived today. This was delivered today. Just like, how do you get 2-year-old kit delivered from your previous kit supplier now?
Well, it tells you that we probably asked them not to deliver it because of the financial situation that we're in.
Maybe they just found a box and sent it over. It might be they were having a warehouse clear out and they just found some. It could be that. But
if you did, you work in procurement, you tell them to sod off.
I don't know. I'd take it and send it to charity. But yeah, it was an odd event anyway on an odd day.
No, but you're right. We are in a terrible situation. And for me, I understand the club has got very little to kind of play its hat on at the moment. And I did find it a bit strange that like Dooley, when he did his interview, we was talking about season ticket sales, which season ticket sales are fantastic. It just shows you how delusional we are as a lot. We've all, like, I've renewed my season ticket already.
I
Thousands
did
have,
mine
apparently
today.
hundreds have.
Annoyingly, I
You
don't know
did yours
why.
today.
I did mine today.
Yeah. So we're all
Yeah.
kind of like lemmings, walking off the cliff and signing our season ticket. But yeah, I did find it a bit strange that Dooley was saying like the positivity around the club. There's no positivity around this club at all, and we saw that at the end of the game on Saturday. And then also, I know you were quite irked, as I was, by the email that came out from the club to try to encourage you to buy your season ticket.
Yeah, an odd one. I don't think we are no longer Shrewsbury Town Football Club. We are Gareth Ainsworth Football Club, because he is the sole remaining sellable, advertisable asset of this club. It's not the players, it's not the stadium, it's not the facilities, it's not, the direction of travel of the club is unclear. The ownership model, it's not that we're funded particularly well. The only sellable asset is that Gareth Ainsworth appears to be an extremely personable and very nice bloke. Chris, it's a shame he's not on the pod tonight. He attended the evening with Gareth Ainsworth the other night. He couldn't speak highly enough about the guy. He said he's fascinating. He said, he makes you believe. But we can't keep beating that drum, because we might start the season appallingly next season.
Or he might not even be here. And the
exactly,
line that got
the
me...
takeover might not happen, and he might walk. So they're selling
the line that triggered me a little bit was, you can support your spot for what is sure to be a thrilling campaign. Based on what? Like, we've just went through that squad, got 12 players, so you can only, an extra 6 additions to the squad if you don't get rid of anyone. We don't have any money. And if this takeover, now Liam did share an update in that video where he said basically they've done everything they can. It's kind of on the other side now. But we're now we're 115 days into exclusivity, which is a lot longer than like normally. Normally exclusivity is 60 to 90 days. And the clock is ticking. And it might sound a little bit dramatic, but obviously, if you're a player now, I'm sure your agent is already talking about contracts next season. And we have no idea what our budget is. And not only do we need a bigger budget to hopefully try and do well in League Two next season, we also need some money to get rid of these players. So at the moment, I don't understand how you can say we're going to have... if we've still got Roland Wychley in charge, and if we still got Mickey Moore, why? On what basis could you think that we're going to have a good season next year? Like, the best I would say now is what, like, okay, boring, bottom half, middle of the bottom half or something, like 17th or something like that. No, it's not. Is that thrilling? It's not thrilling, is it?
Well, that's the word, isn't it? It depends on how you get your thrills, I suppose. There's some people with some odd ways of getting thrills out there, but it's not one for me, I must say.
But where's the positivity? The other thing is, I did put this out on Twitter, so a lot of people are quite obviously enthusiastic about Gareth Ainsworth, which is one thing, and then people talked about the women's team and the foundation work, which is all true. Not one person mentioned a single Shrewsbury Town player.
No. Well, Willow's mascot for Cambridge, and they emailed this week to say, "Oh, can we know who your favourite player is for the programme?" I said, "Willow, who's your favourite player?" She went, "Well, Tom blocks them, even though he left. I still..." It's like that she couldn't pick one, so she had to really concentrate this weekend. I think she'd come up with George Lloyd, which, she's not getting any.
And he's probably like to be sold. So we rejected a bid from Leyton Orient with him in the January transfer window, and he's probably likely to go as well. And he's one of the players I think he would do quite well in League One. Maybe a bit like how Rob Street's doing well at Doncaster this year.
But what I was going to say was, so your point goes back to, they're building the thrill around the Gareth Ainsworth factor, aren't they? He's a bit of a rock star. He's all action on the touchline.
Very likeable bloke.
If given a chance, could probably build quite an entertaining team, I'd imagine. But like you said, we might hit day one of next season, he's not here because the takeover doesn't happen, or we might start abysmally and they sort of have to get rid of him because these things happen in football. If you're having a bad results, you get the boot. So saying to people, buy a season ticket to support Gareth Ainsworth, well, that's not what we buy season tickets for. We buy season tickets to support Shrewsbury Town. The managers change, the players change, even the owners change. We remain. We are the constant. The football club is a constant. As a club, we need to not forget and lose our identity as who we are. We almost seem ashamed of ourselves at the moment, and the only thing we've got is Gareth Ainsworth. The other thing is, they need to do Ainsworth a favour and get him out away from the cameras a bit when he's not talking about performances. Sort of oversaturation of his constant positive messaging, of his constant big promises of what he's going to achieve. If he keeps doing it, he sets himself up to fail sometimes as well. Case in point is His big promises after extra, that won't happen again. Well, we got to Burton and it did happen again. So now what? So it erodes a little bit of credibility of the guy. He's got plenty left with me. This is not me saying he's not the right guy. This is not me saying we should get rid of him. But the club need to protect him a little bit because he is a very enthusiastic communicator. But he might back himself into a few corners because he's the everything that happens, club peel out Gareth Ainsworth. We've had an evening with, we've had a fans parliament. His videos here, his videos there. He's fronting the new campaign for season tickets. I've never seen a manager as present and as upfront as Gareth Ainsworth. And it's to his credit, but the club need to actually work on a common strategy that works around him, not just completely through him, I think, because it doesn't help him, I don't think.
Yeah, and he's got quite a few press conferences still to go to the end of the season. So it'll be interesting to see what he says. But yeah, it's difficult to get enthusiastic about the future at the moment. I really can't have any enthusiasm for the future. That was the thing that was keeping me going, was the thought that we could have a takeover. But that seems like even if we ever take over the next month or so, everything's got to work pretty fast to impact the summer. And how many summers have we had where we didn't get a director of football in time for months? Then our managers changed and everything. So we've got a record of not preparing well going into the summer. So yeah, I'm not over enthusiastic at the moment. And obviously we've still got quite a few home games left to go. I must say the atmosphere probably is going to get more toxic as well as we get closer to the end of the season.
Well, that's an interesting one. The remaining home games now. So I mean, we're talking like it's a mathematical certainty. It isn't, but it would take a miracle to stay up. And miracles do happen.
Oh, we're definitely down.
Great escape. They do happen. Like you can't discount it completely, but all by the shouting, we're down. So the remaining home games, I've heard a lot of people saying, I can't be bothered. I'm not going to go. I'll still be there. I'm not going to do anything else on Saturday afternoons. But I think you sort of said it's a journey for you, isn't it? You have to come a much longer way. The advent of other ways of watching football, whether they're legit or not, who might comment. And there's other things to do. I can understand why attendances would be down,
and they are down. Well, they're not down because they count season tickets, but the stadium was really quiet.
Yeah.
At the moment, you can go and get a drink at half time, and you have no queue whatsoever.
But you're forgetting the big bumper fans we're going to get from the £99 5-match ticket deal, which they must be selling out of. I mean, that must be going like hotcakes, right?
That did make us laugh in the WhatsApp group. But was it 5
I think
games?
Sold one of those. Surely not.
Maybe they sold one, but I can't imagine they sold more than 10.
No,
I'd love to know the numbers. Maybe
if you're not already committed, you're not committing now, are you? Let's be honest.
No.
Yeah.
No. And yeah, it's quite bleak where we are at the moment. And this is the kind of very reason why we haven't done a podcast for so long, is because we've kind of said everything.
You kind of end up repeating yourself a bit, but the takeover does seem to be stalling, doesn't it? It does.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely stalling. Liam, they said that we're waiting on their side now. So Shooter Town have done all their actions, waiting for the other side. Obviously, we have no idea who they are. So, and that's quite rare for Shrews. Remember, obviously, I announced who the manager was, and often we find out about players. We know nothing about this apart from the American. I think the club have confirmed that themselves, and we don't know very much about this takeover. Which obviously then kind of the lack of information, and also the time is now someone was putting a rumor out on Saturday that they've pulled out and stuff, because obviously no one knows anything. I don't think that's the
rumor
case.
Mills in overdrive.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You hear all sorts of daft stuff on the terraces. You've got to take it all with a pinch of salt. But in an information vacuum, rumors people start guessing things, don't they? And I get that in a large value commercial deal, there will be NDAs, there will be all sorts of regulations around what you can or can't say. But the amount of time it's taken, and all we just keep hearing is, well, we're in exclusivity, or we're waiting for the buyer side now. You do just start to think, it's taken a long bloody time. And going back to your earlier point as well, the problem with the time it takes is that it just kills planning for next season. And that's the worry, is that I think any new owner will want to be jumping out of League Two straight away. If they come in, they're not going to want 3-4 years in League Two. That's not the plan. So can we afford to miss a summer? And that's the worry about it dragging on. And if it came out to it that it was something that was happening on our side and we were renegotiating or messing about with, I don't know, wanting to keep a car park or not, it's just, it doesn't feel like it had the momentum it did when it first got announced.
No, we're talking, we're talking nearly 120 days ago now. So quite 3 months ago. It's dragging on, and just hope it happens, because if it doesn't, I dread to think where we're going to be next season.
Yeah.
So going back a week or so now, season ticket prices. Hey, Mike. So there was a fan engagement forum, which I did attend, and where they were talking about increasing season ticket prices to 415. Now the club have been a little bit, I don't know, I can't think of the right word, but basically they put a tweet out saying your season tickets have gone up £1. Well, mine was 375 last year, and now I'm being charged 400. And
the
it
club
was going to go to 415.
Amazing. Yeah, you couldn't think of the word. I think fucking cheeky would be the
Cheeky is a
mildest way
polite
of
way of
putting it.
putting it.
Yeah. That whole, I was going to say, my bank account doesn't think it was a £1 increase. Put it like that. It wasn't £376 I paid today. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, the whole season ticket thing, it just frustrates me. We're going down. I get that things in life are getting more expensive, but I mean, football must be the only industry where you can increase the price on a worse product. It's not even staying the same product. It's a
And
worse
that's the
product.
context is there are things.
Yeah.
So national living wage is going up, and national insurance contributions are going up, so costs are going up. But you're right on the context of like how dreadful we are. So like in that 120 days, we've won 5 games. We've won, I think, like nearly just 20% of our games we've won in this exclusivity period. And now is the time they thought was a good time to put season ticket prices up.
And that's what sort of makes me suspicious about this takeover a little bit as well, is that it would be the easiest thing in the world for a new owner to come in and freeze season ticket prices. What a lovely way to get the fans on side immediately. We're your new owners. You don't have to worry about any money anymore. You can have another February freeze or whatever it is, or a March maintain, whatever they want to call it when they come in. So the fact that the prices are going up and they're in such a rush to do it now, relatively early in the period, it feels like it's
normal, though, isn't it? It's about normal now, isn't it?
Yeah, but it feels like it's cash flow for now. It's cash flow to cover the bills right now. I don't think any of the money we're spending on this increase is going to be going into the transfer fund next season. None of that money will still be here. It will be spent on paying the bills right now, probably so the chairman doesn't have to keep funding out of his own pocket, which is fair enough. But let's not sugar it as back the boys, take the increase. We want to be more competitive next season. It will have absolutely no bearing on next season.
Because we're still losing money, which is the concern.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll all be swallowed up before the summer.
Like the blocks
that
of
makes
money.
me think, if we had wealthy owners coming in, would this be happening anytime soon? I just don't. It just doesn't feel to chime with supposed big value takeovers that I'm getting stung for another whatever it is, £25 or whatever. And
but it's not just the £25 now, is it? So you go ahead, and I'll come back to it.
No, carry on. No, it's the
£25. The fact that it was like a £300, like it's like a nearly £100 increase over 100 years. And
over
the thing that I thought was quite
funny,
felt
a long time.
was that until Dooley came in last year, the cost of a box had not gone up in over 10 years.
Well,
which is just and also to add on to that, it's really strange because in the fan engagement form they said they were going to go to 415, but then all of a sudden now it's going to 400. Now there's only one man that would have made that decision, and that's chairman. So he's flip flopped and changed his decision? So he wants to direct football, or doesn't want director of football? Like it's just another. Just like not sticking with your guns of what you're going to do. I don't get it.
I think it's worth going back and clearing that point up where we talked over each other. Then is that you were saying that our ticket for the general match going Shrewsbury Town season ticket holders ticket cost has increased £100, and what was it over the last 10 years or something?
5 years. I think Chris did the maths, worked it out, but it's like nearly 5 years or so. It's gone up from like
we'll confirm the maths. Maybe you'll tweet out the proper maths because Chris isn't here. But in the same time, the cost of a box at the club hasn't gone up at all. And I think it was in 13 years, wasn't it, or something like that? The boxes, and what it does feel like then is that the only lever that the club have to pull for income is the match-going fan. Just keep making it more expensive. Keep pumping those same roughly 5,000.
It's not many boxes.
Diehards.
You think there's some clamour for it. Either he doesn't want to give the price increase to his mates, or there isn't enough people that actually want them in the first place. I don't know.
But that's the thing. But because they can't. Because they can't attract external investment, because they can't sell more advertising space, just keep pumping the fans for money. So it's another increase. Yeah, we had the February freeze last year, but it's gone up a lot in the previous seasons, and we're an expensive season ticket. If you look at the table for more expensive season tickets in the league, I mean, next year in League Two we're going to be top 3, I think, cost. So it just goes back to my frustration with how the club's been allowed to drift commercially, and just sort of we're just happy to exist on the money we can claw out of the sort of the 5,000 or so diehards that come on the odd day trip. It's just sort of been a bit of a zombie on the commercial income investment side. Since we moved ground, it's not really got going, and this is the culmination of it, I think.
Well, it's just, and I think everyone now is just quite tired, aren't they? Chanting at Mickey Moore, chanting at Roland Wycherley. Apart from Ainsworth, I think most people want a clean sweep now, like totally whole new squad of players, new leadership. Like the stadium's starting to get a bit untidy. We just need we need a bit of TLC from the owners into the club.
It feels like you moan about everything, but you turn up now on a match day, and I think it might have been Dan or you made the point on the last pod probably. You turn up, you've got Smithy's is closed, can't get a pint in the supporters bar. Yeah, you can go in the rowdy lounge, but they've opened that sort of begrudgingly. You're allowed to go in through the fire escape. If you don't make eye contact with any of the directors, that sort of thing. And then you go around to the fan zone. It's weedy, it's overgrown, it's gravel everywhere. It looks shit. It looks really shit, doesn't it? Compared to some of the other grounds we go to. You go in the concourse, they're still dreary as hell.
And there's still graffiti from the.
There's Djurgården stickers everywhere. It's really poorly set out. The ground's really looking tired. It's looking its age. And again, this wasn't the point. This wasn't the point of leaving the old meadow for a new modern, football stadium. It was at the time, but it hasn't been looked after. It hasn't been invested in. It's a smaller version of what's happening at Man United and Old Trafford, but they can afford a new $2 billion stadium probably. We can't. This is what we've got, and you need to maintain this stuff. And it's symptomatic of what's been allowed to happen at the club over the last decade or so. It feels like it's been a bit of a bit of a zombie, bit of a sleepwalking to a bit of a disaster, really. And it's sad is the problem, because it was such an opportunity. I think if you go back to when they sold the game out, I don't think the point in 10 or 15 years, wherever it's been, was to be playing Bromley and Harrogate in League Two again. If you'd have told the directors at the time and the fans that what would happen, I think we'd have all said it's a complete waste of time. And that's what it feels like it has been, barring that one poor Hurst season and a bit of a Steve Cottrell season where we kind of overperformed. The rest of it's been a complete waste of time, really, hasn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've got a really sad table, which I'll probably share at the end of the season, that we've won 30% of our games in League One.
We're already a very bad value season ticket. That's what we're paying for. Now we've got to pay more for it. Yeah, great.
And talking is sad. So we haven't got a game next weekend. Reading, the thing was the Reading game I think was cancelled. Whatever. We haven't got a game next weekend anyway. Then we're playing Birmingham City away. They owe us one. They're probably going to be well up for that. They're doing really well. They'll they drew Northampton. I'm not sure. Bristol Rovers. I said to myself, if we were losing 2-0 after 50 minutes, I was just going to leave. Both teams are so poor that that didn't happen. But you look at them, we've got loads of games left. We've got Wickham, we've got Cambridge, we've got Reading, we've got Lincoln, we've got Wigan, Northampton, Barnsley, and then Crawley, which is going to be a lovely home game on the last day of the season. And do you think we'll get any wins at the end of the season now? I can't see the players performing anything.
I feel like we're talking ourselves into doom and gloom. The flip side of there being a lot of games left is there's still a lot of points on the table. It's not.
We're not going to survive them. It'd be nice to get over 35 points, not have less than 30.
I don't think we're staying up, but there's an argument to be made there. If other people are sitting there at home listening to this and thinking, these guys are fucking out their heads, there's still, this many points on the table. I get that, and I understand why people would be. I don't agree with it, but I suppose you've got to sort of respect the fact that there are other people out there who have more faith and more belief.
Yeah, to survive now, we've got to basically win more games than we've won all season.
Yeah, which we won't do. But I was talking at the weekend, and I'm a doom and gloom merchant. I said, my eyeball is really on trying to avoid being the lowest ever points total now. I think that's...
Or being bottom as well. Because the team that finished bottom at the moment...
You're still going down, aren't you?
Yeah, the team that finishes bottom at the moment has a record of going down to the conference.
Well,
if we went down into the conference, that would be pretty... oh, God, that's just even about thinking about. So yeah,
Well, not even that though. I was talking to, I think I mentioned him last time on the pod, a bloke who's a dad at my lads' football team, Bradford fan, and they've been in League Two now. Would you believe it? A couple of sides of Bradford for 7 years, and he said they've not half-assed it. They've tried to get out. They've invested. They bought players. They've tried different structures. You know, and they're a club with a big fan base. They've got decent money. They can do stuff, and they haven't been able to crack the code. And they said even for a club at their size, the other clubs in that league that have real serious money, your Wrexhams, your Stockports, they just sort of fly through it and they get swallowed up in that. So Shrewsbury Town battling in that environment, it's not going to be a relegation promotion like we've seen, I don't think, without cash in the bank to compete. You know, we're not. Back in the day, we used to be sort of a bit of a big fish in a small pond in league.
Yeah, we did under Mickey Mellon. We flew, didn't we? Signed.
Yeah, I think we become very average in League Two, especially with this squad and this budget. And that's the worry, is that we could easily do 5, 6, 7, 10 years in there without the right
unless we ever take over
investment. Unless we ever take over, yeah.
Well, and even if we take over, look at Carlisle.
Yeah,
they had a really rich American family take over the club, and they're fighting with Morecambe to get relegated.
Yeah, we were all said dead jealous of Burton and all their money, and they're coming down with us pretty much. I think that they might still get out of it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're down with us next season. So that's another club with a bit of money in the bank that we're going to be competing with for players in the same structure. It's difficult. But football's changed since our last relegation. And I don't think we've kept up with the times. Is the thing. But we've been in League One a long time. This shouldn't be happening. This should not be happening. We've always been told that we're a club that works the right way and that we've got the right stadium, the right facilities, and all this sort of stuff. Well, we shouldn't be getting relegated, and it's very frustrating that we are. And
there's teams smaller than us who are surviving in this in division this year. And yeah, here we are, bottom of the league table, and yeah, it's quite depressing. So yeah, I'm not sure there's much else for us to say, Mike.
I just suppose the rest of the season, I've got my ticket to Birmingham. I bought it during.
I'm tempted because I can also go on the train, but
yeah,
we could get absolutely. If Burton can nearly score 4 or 5 against us, how many could they put against us?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting watch. I think that's the best way to put it. So I'll be there. I'll be at all the home games. I was thinking of going to Northampton. Not sure I can be arsed now, really. It just seems like a bit of a hide into nothing. But all that said, we'll still be there. We've renewed our season tickets.
Yeah,
we'll still be going. And I think it's incumbent on the club now to sort of really, really respect that. I would say one of the things I've seen with the fan apathy or the anger or the booing or the chanting at Roland Wycherley, the support's still good. But the away attendances are good.
Yeah, the away support is amazing.
The away following is fantastic. They're on a hide into nothing for every away match they go to. And they get on those coaches and they go to bloody Exeter and they go and they chant their hearts out. And, I don't attend half as many as I should or I could, life and work and what have you. But enough respect to those people. And I know Gareth Ainsworth sort of apologised to the fans at Exeter. The club need to sort of realise that the fans aren't the enemy. The fans are something to be built around. The fans are the lifeblood and the purpose of the club. The chairman offering out fans from the terrace apparently and all this you hear. It's not good stuff. You're not going to sell season tickets. I feel like we're being.
I don't feel like Gareth has said a few things, but I don't feel like the club really understand where we are or not listening, and I don't really feel like they appreciate where we're the support that they have, and the fact that the season ticket sales are as strong as they are shows that either we're stupid or something, but what
else are we going to do?
It's it's difficult. It's difficult. I've kind of lost for words now. I think we've said everything there is to say.
I think we're at risk of repeating it over and over again. But just hey, if you're going away, you're doing a great job. You carry on, guys.
Yeah,
keep backing them. Yeah,
fans have been fantastic this season. Shame we can't say that about the club and the players. So quite a gloomy podcast. Unsurprisingly, we're bottom of League One, going to League Two with very little to get excited about. So listen to us again soon.
Come roaring back for more of this. It's great, isn't it?
So hopefully Chris and Dan will be back next time we do a pod. Probably back in a couple of weeks, maybe. Let's see how we go.
They're the slightly more positive ones, so maybe they can sort of balance it out a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. So thanks for listening or watching, and we're back again soon.
Cheers, guys.
It's like defence and attack. It's like a training ground exercise, isn't it? Granderson, who was so pivotal in Town's second goal. Good dribbling again into the penalty area. Step over time. Granderson scores an absolute beauty!